Alan, a former VIP patient at the Qingshan Rehabilitation Center, is currently a resident patient at the Akam Lunatic Hospital. Stark. Although I don't want to admit it, Alan is indeed my uncle. Steve. Alright, Alan is really my boss. Bruce. To be clear, I am Batman and he is Batman. You three, knock some melon seeds on one side, and I'll solve the problem. Ah bah, what are you talking to him about? The interstellar universe is free to wave, the multiverse is free to explore, and the multi-dimensional dimensions are randomly dismantled. AliExpress one timeline MVP settlement screen. Don't say I won't give you a chance, give you time to call for the Empire of Hia, the Empire of Kree, and the Empire of Skuru to come together. De Chow, step back behind me, hand over the gems, you should be grateful that Superman can beat you Odin, why don't you kneel when you see me Domum, I don't eat beef, summoning the lamp ring goddess BGM. Stuff it up. Stuff it up. Perpetua. I always remember not long after escaping from heaven, that man came to me and asked me, is it his own dignity or to help her with dignity? Keywords of the novel. Meiman. This guy is crazy without pop-ups, Meiman. This guy is crazy. Download the full text, Meiman. This guy is crazy. Read the latest chapters. Chapter 1. Abundant Talents Akam. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. Abundant Talents Akam. Gotham, once shrouded in chaos and violence in the city. Under the unremitting efforts of Director Gordon of the Light of Justice, the talents in the prison department were gradually locked up in the Black Gate Prison and the Arkham Lunatic Asylum. Underneath the peaceful appearance of many years, there is darkness hidden in the darkness, brewing madness in madness. The Arkham Lunatic Asylum, built with high walls, houses numerous notorious and cowardly criminals among its citizens. Of course, Akam Hospital is a well-known medical institution that not only imprisons notorious lunatics, but also treats psychiatric patients from all walks of life. Known as the Gotham Zebra, a penguin who unifies black and white, he has graduated from Arkham and is currently pursuing further studies at the Black Gate Prison. I am a righteous knight walking in the darkness, the embodiment of all criminals' fears, including clowns, scarecrows, riddles, two-faced people, and many cruel perpetrators. I will keep an eye on you forever. Beside the cracked windowsill, leaning against a man wearing a black cloak and a bat-shaped mask on his head. His eyes remained fixed on the numerous criminals. Alan, it's time to take the medicine. The bulky black female nurse, wearing tight nurse uniforms, pushed a medicine cart and handed over the medication for treating mental illness that day. Ellen said with a righteous tone, "Beautiful Lady Catherine, you've mistaken me. I'm the Dark Knight Batman. I have to admit, chatting with you is really enjoyable." Catherine's face couldn't hide a joyful smile, which was often mocked as a chubby girl by others from a young age, even though her partner sometimes used this to humiliate her. Until she joined the dreaded Arkham Crazy Home, when a nurse met Ellen, a smile gradually appeared on her face. She knew the other person was a lunatic with mental illness, but she couldn't resist them speaking well. "Alan, next time don't steal curtains from the dean's office. There are many in the storage room, and I have placed them in the second cabinet in the first row. You have also torn off Dean Keeksy's limited edition Playboy publication, which is already in a rage. You may need to be locked down." Catherine cares and reminds that she doesn't want Ellen, who looks thin and frail, to be punished. During her work, she found that most patients had a tendency towards violence, except for Alan, who had always played the role of a hero of justice and remained obedient. "Thank you very much for your kind reminder. Your kindness is like the stars in the night sky." Alan pinched the curtain cloak with one hand, covering the front and revealing only a pair of eyes, creating the iconic appearance of Batman. The problem is that the bat-shaped mask happens to have a red bikini pattern around its eye sockets. "Your little mouth is so sweet, it's a pity. I'm already married and have children. I don't mind having an extra daughter. I gave birth to a boy." Alan raised a contemptuous smile, which made Catherine read a different meaning and couldn't help but anger, saying, "Bad embryo, taking medicine. Ah. Such an adult needs someone to feed him." Catherine habitually stuffed the capsule into Ellen's mouth and hurriedly pushed the medicine cabinet cart towards the other patients, her face already turning black and red. As soon as the person walked away, Alan faintly vomited the medicine. "I don't allow anyone to deprive me of the right to be a fool, no one can." Alan, surnamed Melon, was originally a VIP patient at the Qingshan Rehabilitation Center. When he was playing with the attending doctor's computer, a power leakage accident occurred, causing him to wake up and be at the Akam crazy home. Of course, Alan is not at all panicked. After reviewing classic cases, refining top industry strategies, connecting deep cultivation thinking models, and bridging the critical path of detonation, he concludes that as long as he is physically electrocuted, he will once again cross the blue star. The goal of returning to Qingshan Rehabilitation Center is very clear, which is to clear the browser traces on the attending doctor's computer. As a spiritual young man, Alan said that spending 1 yuan to browse the Japanese and Korean regions is an act of treason. "Ah. Dehua, when did you come behind me?" Alan was startled like a young girl, instinctively covering his chest with both hands and looking at the riddle man Edward Negma in shock. "I will challenge you again and use wisdom to duel." The riddle person clenches their hands tightly, with a serious expression, raising their voice to challenge themselves. Suddenly, the criminals in the activity area cast their eyes and cheered for a duel. The guards guarding the hallway have long been accustomed to strange things. They are equally fond of daily riddles and brain teasers. The old rules. No problem. Set up the arena. Patients should keep quiet and recognize each other. This is a duel between wise men, and mental patients generally think they are very smart. Sometimes, when faced with questions from two people, they may raise their hands to answer. "Gentlemen, ladies." Arthur's exaggerated gesture caught attention. "I am the referee and commentator for this match." He guided with both hands to the left and solemnly introduced, "On the left side is the Justice Knight Bateman." Sigh suddenly, it attracted the disdain of the patients who were watching. Talking about justice in Akam is as hypocritical as a capitalist doing charity. Alan was completely indifferent and nodded leisurely to the crowd. On the right-hand side is Gotham wisdom expert and Riddler Edward. Applause. Whistle. Even some female patients showed their fragrant shoulders and shouted to give the riddle a monkey as a sign of love. That's right, the atmosphere is right. Criminals in Akam are worth pursuing, as a group of mentally ill individuals are played around in the hands of riddles. The showdown begins, the losing side asks first. Arthur gestured to Edward with his fingers to ask a question. At this moment, Edward pushed his glasses and his expression became more serious. "I take you at night, take you back during the day. No one suffers because of having me, but they suffer because of my lack. What am I?" A riddle blurted out, and Edward was satisfied, as if he saw victory in sight. The patients who joined in the fun were lost in thinking about the answers. Some were scratching their ears and cheeks, some were scratching their hair, some were slapping their heads with both fists, and the poor CPU was about to dry up and smoke. Countdown now, 10, 9, 8. Sleep. Alan lowered his voice and spoke in a magnetic and sexy voice. Silent for a moment, a pair of eyes involuntarily looked at the Riddler, hoping to announce that the answer was incorrect. "You answered correctly." Edward admitted with a deflated expression, feeling frustrated that the riddle he had been thinking about all night failed to stump his opponent. "Alan, you're amazing. I want to offer you my first kiss." Poison Vine girl Lillian took this opportunity to approach, pouting her lips and preparing to offer a kiss. As a result, Alan clenched his fists in front of him and said sincerely, "My ex and current colleagues are jealous. I can't guarantee if they will make a move, and where did you get your first kiss?" "Just kidding," Lillian took a fatal sip and died instantly. How could she electrocute herself and return to the Qingshan Rehabilitation Center to clear the traces on her browser? It's my turn, please listen to the question. A medium rare steak and a medium rare steak, frying in one pot, why don't they chat? Alan's question was a mental teaser rather than a suggestive riddle, but there was no rule from the beginning that mental teasers were not allowed to solve the problem. Protest, steak is not human, how could we possibly chat? Anti-protest, you are discriminating against steak. Protests are invalid. Arthur faced the restless patients with a chilling smile and threatened arrogantly, whoever protests again, I'll make him a steak. Arthur, who spoke without hesitation, said that the style of the butcher was undoubtedly intimidating, and the patients immediately became honest and obedient, waiting quietly for the answer from the Riddler. Edward occasionally wiped the corners of his mouth, pushed his glasses back, and wiped the cold sweat off his forehead. He pondered for a long time and answered cautiously. They are not familiar. Congratulations, you answered correctly. The patients cheered loudly and generously praised the Riddler's exceptional intelligence. Edward breathed a sigh of relief, grateful to have persevered through the first round. If you know me, you want to share me. If you share me, I will disappear. What am I? It is still a riddle with depth, and normal people may not be able to answer it. But who is Alan? Before traveling, he had read the complete collection of riddles by the Riddler, and the answers were all memorized in his mind. The reason why he didn't answer in the first place was to create a sense of anticipation and create an atmosphere of urgency for everyone. I'm about to enter the countdown. Arthur had a malicious smile on his face, deliberately favoring the Riddler, and the next time it was Ellen's turn, the countdown began. Secret. Upon hearing the answer, Edward's pupils narrowed and his surprised expression froze for a second. With difficulty, he candidly replied, the answer is correct. I need to increase the difficulty, please listen to the questions. A African-American woman who doesn't know English married a pure American. She went to the supermarket to buy chicken and used body mimicry to ask the salesperson for help before successfully buying what she wanted. The next day, she wanted to buy ham sausages and brought her husband with her. How did she buy ham sausages? At this moment, everyone's faces showed a knowing smile that everyone understood. The same expression appeared on Edward's face and he confidently replied, she pointed to her husband's genitals. Bang! The sudden explosion interrupted the heated confrontation. A group of clowns holding firearms rushed in from the corridor, controlling the security personnel at the Akam lunatic asylum. The Joker Gang, a group of people who have to pinch instant noodles and grab rice from every supermarket, has finally arrived to welcome their ugly King Arthur. At this moment, the Silent King awaits his release from the cage. Along with them, many patients fled, including crazy criminals. It's time for me to go home. Alan couldn't find a socket in the patient activity area and had to wait for the opportunity. Before taking action, he didn't forget to say to the riddle person who was looking forward to the result, you lost. Her husband can speak English. Suddenly, frustration surged in Edward's heart, making it difficult for him to extricate himself for a moment. Waiting to regain his sanity, Edward pursued and only found the mask and curtain cloth by a socket. I don't believe it, you're lying to me. In the corridor, the riddle person's unwilling roar echoed. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. Very Humanized Golden Finger. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2. Very Humanized Golden Finger. Time goes back 3 minutes ago. Alan successfully found a socket and pulled out the nurse hat hairpin that had been passed from Catherine earlier. I'm not afraid of being broken to pieces, I want to keep my innocence in this world. Subsequently, resolutely insert into the empty slot. Pop. Electric light suddenly appeared, and both eyes turned black. Akam Crazy Home experienced a power outage and tripped, and Alan successfully burned the fuse of the voltage regulator. The host activates the entire profession system, currently allowing for the selection of professions such as warrior, thief, and archer. A second profession can be established when the first profession reaches its level. Select timeout, random allocation in progress. Congratulations to the host for choosing the thief profession. The selectable timeline is as follows. Justice Camp. Divine Shield Bureau, Tianyan Society, and Bojian Department. Evil Faction. Hydra, Hand Alliance, Assassin Alliance. Select timeout, random allocation in progress. Congratulations to the host for choosing the Assassin's Alliance. Alan accidentally activated his golden finger, but of course, he remained unconscious throughout the process. At this point, Akam's backup power was restored, and Alan was nowhere to be found. Quizzy Sharp, hiding in the dean's office, searched through surveillance footage and carefully confirmed over and over again. Unconsciously, a cold sweat from his temples flowed onto his shirt. Dean Kixi is very clear in his heart that the decision to restart Arkham Crazy Home was not initiated by Director Gordon. The so-called imprisonment of lunatic criminals is actually a cover-up nonsense, with the real purpose of constantly monitoring and recording the target of Alan. He trembled as he dialed a phone. Fry, the target is missing. After a brief report, Chueshi dialed another group of phone numbers. Amanda. On the snowy peak lies a quaint Oriental-style building. This place is one of the many training bases of the Assassin's League, where orphans are gathered from all over the world and trained to become cold-blooded assassins. This base is covered in ice and snow all year round and is only used to train adult assassins and warriors in various physical and martial arts skills. Ninja Master Lei Xiaoaogu, dressed in a long robe, solemnly presented his concept of justice in front of everyone. In the world, there have been countless wars from ancient times to the present day, and you are all victims of losing loved ones in war. The purpose of my establishment of the Assassin's Alliance is to end any form of war and establish a just country where no one will lose their loved ones due to war. You will be the judges, personally judging the perpetrators of the war. Indeed, the Assassin's Alliance specializes in adopting war orphans, which facilitates shaping and brainwashing from a young perspective, in order to steadfastly carry out assigned tasks. From beginning to end, I see myself as the embodiment of justice and the Master Ninja as a spiritual mentor and leader. The boss said it well. Pop 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 pop. The untimely applause rang out abruptly. In the first row, a man with a hole in the mouth of his mask cut out, his hands interlocked and clapped up and down, imitating the clapping of a gorilla. That's right, he's Alan who crossed the timeline. Boss, I will definitely become the man who silently supports you behind your back. Alan touched Nisa and Talia with his left and right elbows and gestured, give me some reaction. The boss spoke passionately, and I almost believed him. Talia glared fiercely and then cast a reproachful look at Nisa. Nisha's face was full of helplessness and her heart was filled with regret. 3 days ago, it was mentioned that she shouldn't have picked up this madman from the snow, and then the style of the Assassin's League suddenly changed. Why cut a hole in the mask? Lei Xiaoaogu frowned and asked. He has lived for hundreds of years and his mind has long been calm, but now he wants to put his sword into the opponent's mouth and twist his tongue, making him speechless forever. Report, I can't breathe anymore. Then you won't take off the mask. I want to maintain a sense of mystery like a righteous person. I'm really stupid, really. Knowing that he is abnormal, one should not ask foolish questions or even say one more word to him. Nisha, you brought him back and are responsible for training him. Lei Xiaoaogu emphasized his tone when speaking the last 3 words. Knowing that her father was like a daughter, Nisha understood and said, Father, I understand. The meaning is simple. Train Alan hard, make him know the difficulties and retreat, and choose to leave voluntarily. Why not personally tackle it with a single blow to bring joy? Lei Xiaoaogu has been brainwashing the members and shaping us as a just organization. How can we do anything that harms innocent people? Moreover, as people with disabilities, assistance should be provided. Come with me. Nisha walked ahead with a calm face, and Ellen followed with jumps and jumps. Sister, if you train me alone, they won't be jealous, will they? Sister, they won't be jealous, will they? Sister, they don't want to hit me, do they? It's so scary, unlike me, I only feel sorry for my sister. Alan looked cheap and teasy, so angry that Nisha clenched her fists and her nails were about to sink into the flesh. In the distance, Talia had a gloating expression on her face and suddenly felt that Ellen was particularly pleasing to the eye. The two sisters are the daughters of the Assassin Master. They lived in the Assassin Alliance since childhood and experienced the same training. Their goal in mind is to take over the position of the Assassin Master. Naturally, they have a competitive mentality. As long as the other party is weak, they will be very happy. Training room. Nisha threw a bamboo sword and said seriously, "From today on, I will teach you various martial arts skills until you become a true warrior, or you choose to give up if you can't persist." Alan picked up the bamboo sword and placed it on his waist to set up his figure. He looked up at the snowy mountain outside the window at a 45-degree angle, his eyes full of loneliness and desolation, as if a lonely swordsman was reminiscing about this life. Nisha's eyebrows furrowed, she couldn't figure out where to make another fuss. The world of mental illness is unpredictable. 1 second is filled with green tea, and the next is filled with aloofness. There is no pattern to follow. The matter has come to this point, and I can't hide it after all. Alan sighed and recounted to himself, "I once cut through eternity with a sword, blocking the enemies of the heavens. Since then, the sword has been sealed for endless years. Do you really want me to strike?" With a casual twitch at the corner of her mouth, Nisha vaguely felt unable to control her emotions. "Your sword can cut through eternity. I broke your rib with a sword." Nisha impatiently urged, "Stop talking nonsense and launch an attack on me. Since it's unavoidable, I have to use the proud ninjutsu." Ninjutsu. Alan explained solemnly, "I once traveled the world and learned a powerful ninjutsu through a place in Hokage village. I'm afraid you won't be able to grasp it." Haha. Show it out and see. Ninjutsu is a type of martial arts that truly exists, and the Assassin's Alliance collects a lot of called ninjutsu. When mentioning ninjutsu in front of her, Nisha felt like she was joking. "Be careful." Alan reminded him and took a long breath, as if accumulating energy, ready to unleash a full blow. Upon seeing this, Nisha couldn't help but grip her sword handle tightly, her eyes showing caution and importance, and she couldn't help but doubt the authenticity of ninjutsu in her heart. "I'll go to the bathroom first." The ultimate meaning of ninjutsu. Shit done. Can't hold it anymore. Without saying a word, Alan didn't even turn his head and walked outside. "Come back, you bastard." Nisha roared angrily, "This guy is insulting her intelligence." End of this chapter. Chapter 3. The Stubborn King's Posture. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3. The Stubborn King's Posture. Bang ah. Failed battle, experience points +5. Bang ah. Failed battle, experience points +5. Sufficient experience, currently thief level LV1. Bang oh. Failed battle, experience points +5, comprehension skill. Weapon mastery. Weapon mastery LV0. Hit +1. Half a day of practice is over. Alan is completely unrecognizable. Blowing away time and time again, getting up time and time again, my face swelled and my eyes became a slit. At the same time, the system prompts are presented one by one in the brain. Today's training is over. You can seek treatment from Chelsea for your external injury and continue tomorrow. Nisha vented all her anger and couldn't help feeling a wave of relief both physically and mentally. She still underestimated Alan's endurance and didn't surrender and beg for mercy. If it weren't for her brain problems, she would truly be suitable for cultivating into a qualified warrior. At this point, I won't give up. I swear by my current and former. As he spoke, Alan raised his hands, indicating that his right hand was present and his left hand was present. In Alan's concept, the whole body can be soft up and down, but the mouth cannot. Great, looking forward to your performance tomorrow. Nisha is very satisfied with going out. She likes dead ducks to have a hard mouth and then plant seeds of fear in their hearts bit by bit. Turn left when going out and follow the signs to go to the medical room. Lei Xiao has lived for hundreds of years and has followed numerous masters to cultivate, collecting many healing prescriptions from them. After all, practicing martial arts inevitably leads to injuries. The development and growth of the Assassins' Alliance relies on healing drugs, otherwise, who will sacrifice their lives if they become a bunch of disabled individuals. Oh, this is not Alan. I can't recognize him in just half a day. It's like meeting love at the corner. Talia greeted with a strange and sinister tone. On the first day, Alan mocked her for not having a better physique than Nisa, so the two got into a feud. However, Alan has never lost anyone in terms of verbal skills. Immediately, holding the back of the head with one hand, pressing the elbow against the wall, and crossing the waist with the other hand, the legs crossed to open a stubborn mouth posture. It turned out to be my dear Talia. Did you pretend to meet me because you were worried? Alan's swollen face revealed a self-proclaimed carefree smile. I know, after all, the gaze of loving someone cannot be hidden. You are afraid that I will be addicted to Nisa. Suddenly, Talia felt like eating a pound of flies. I am already full and trying to provoke a mentally ill patient. Pretend not to hear you in both ears, accelerate your steps and slip by, make up your mind to stay away from the madman, otherwise it will be abnormal together. She spent most of her life practicing martial arts. How could she defeat the stubborn king with a straight line? The only way she could think of in her heart was to stab him. Talia, avoiding is not enough to solve the problem. Love must be spoken out loud, muster the courage to confess my love to you, and hope that your love will not linger anymore. With you in this life, life is colorful and colorful. I can't hold back my stubborn posture. Alan sang a love song with deep affection. The singing sounded like a deadly magic, and Talia held her ears in both hands, running from brisk steps to grabbing the way, unwilling to wait for another second. Small sample, dare not face your heart directly. Alan said with a carefree narcissism, avoiding will only lead to greater addiction. Ah. Turning around, I saw Nisha looking at him with a strange expression on her face. She was worried that Alan wouldn't be able to find the infirmary, so she turned back to take him there, and happened to see a scene just now. To be honest, seeing Talia at a loss, Nisha's mood was more joyful than her father, Rei Xiao Ogu, who praised her. I will take it lightly tomorrow. Are you confessing yourself? It is obvious that Alan's stubborn posture did not enter the cooldown time and instantly injured his teammates. Nisha originally intended to use the other party's hand to make Talia feel weak, but in the end, it was simply an uncontrollable factor that launched a fierce and indiscriminate output. Ellen couldn't help but flick her hair back as she saw Nisa running away. I know you're interested in me, and I can see that you're indulging in your desires. I'm truly talented. Sigh, being charming is really a headache, but I'm loyal to Xiao Yu. Xiaozhua, stop it. You're just an ex, please keep your distance. Psychotic patients are full of joy, and Alan has never been alone. Little left and little right are always by his side, constantly engaging in jealous and abusive relationships. The medical room door was half pushed open, and a swollen and unrecognizable face peeked in. Chelsea, who was studying ancient texts, was momentarily stunned. After 3 seconds of silence, he recognized someone with a kind smile on his face and said, Alan, come in and sit down. He is a non-combatant member of the Assassins' Alliance, dedicated to serving as a pharmacist, specializing in the development of various drugs to provide to organizations. His status is second only to that of the ninja master, but he does not have much real power. This is their second meeting. The first time was when Nisha brought Ellen back. At that time, frozen to the brink of death, Chelsea successfully restored it to its original state through superb medical skills. Lao Che, arrange a plastic surgery for me. It doesn't need to be very handsome, but it needs to be very awkward. I am a traditional Chinese medicine practitioner. If it's not possible, then it's not possible. What kind of excuse are you looking for? Chelsea stood up and rummaged through the medicine cabinet to find a can of ointment. He was well aware of Alan's character and spoke more and more vigorously. This is a medicine for medical trauma, which promotes blood circulation and blood stasis, accelerates healing and growth. You don't need to apply too much, keep it for yourself, and ask me for it after use. He didn't have much aversion towards Ellen, but he couldn't resist bothering him every day. He decided to give him more therapeutic ointment to avoid seeing each other every day. Growth. Alan's focus is often different from that of ordinary people. Remember these two words when introducing ointment content, and his smile becomes even brighter. He looks down at his lower body. Cough. Chelsea cautioned cautiously, put away your unrealistic ideas, otherwise you will lose them. Look at what you're saying, I've always been very satisfied with my size. Alan sneered and concealed his true thoughts. Of course, Chelsea is deeply skeptical and should never believe a mentally ill person. They are not sure what they are doing. Holding the medicine jar back to the bedroom, apply the pungent ointment in front of the mirror. The cooling sensation relieves pain and has a very significant effect. The exclusive secret recipe of Assassin's Alliance, the low-end version, is established and sold to the public. A large organization supports its subordinates, and the annual expenses are already astronomical. It's hard to believe that assassinations and bounties can make ends meet. The investment in cultivating a warrior alone is no less than $50,000 per year. There are over 100 people in the Snow Mountain base, and the total number of members in secret bases such as Purgatory Island, as well as mission operation expenses, building repair expenses, equipment depreciation expenses, drug procurement expenses, and miscellaneous expenses, totaling at least billions of funds. Character. Alan, 1/10, occupation. LV5 thief, skill. LV1 weapon mastery, time. 1981 Assassin's League. Requirement. If the current profession reaches LV120, it can return to the original timeline. Lying in bed, Alan looked at the attribute panel in confusion and suddenly said, I've crossed into the Assassin's League before. In chronological order, I might encounter. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Hydra, long live. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4 Hydra, long live. At the entrance of the martial arts training room. Alan twisted his clothes and said with a grievance, it's comfortable for you to have to do it so many times a day. I can't bear it. Nisha's face was gloomy, and she couldn't help but sneer. Finally, I have to give up and not waste several days of rigorous training. Don't talk nonsense, come in. Ah. Alan reluctantly followed into the training room. Bang. Ah. Failed battle, experience points +5. Bang. Ah. Failed battle, experience points +5. Enough experience, currently the thief level is LV10. Bang. Oh. Failed battle, experience points +5, comprehension skill. Shadow stealth. Shadow stealth. Actively enter stealth mode, and once in combat or under attack, automatically detach from stealth. After being beaten for 2 hours, Ellen lay on the ground with an expression that was as expected and said, I just said I can't bear it. Today's training is over. Nisha has long been accustomed to Ellen's tough mouth. If one day I really soften up, I may suspect it's me. Don't leave, come back and fight for another 800 rounds. Upon hearing these words, Nisha suddenly looked back and wanted to loosen Ellen's bones a little more. However, Alan lay with his eyes tightly closed, pretending to be dead. Waiting for Nisha to leave the martial arts room, Alan stood up with a carp. Failed, then stood up. Failed, still stood up. Failed, sat up honestly and flipped through the new skills unlocked on the panel. Shadow stealth is one of the core skills of thieves. In short, sneaking around to the enemy to launch a surprise attack. What is the principle of invisibility? Alan rubbed his chin and pondered, is it optical invisibility, psychological confusion, or spatial distortion? Enter invisibility. My body turned gray, like a ghost wandering outside the world. Walking openly inside the base, offering international gestures to the base warriors from afar. As expected, becoming an invisible person allows one to openly engage in lewd desires. Sneaking into Lei Xiao Aogu's room. The area is explicitly prohibited for members to enter. For a mentally challenged young man, if he is not allowed to do it, he insists on doing it, mainly because his curiosity kills the cat. Wow, the boss's urinal is really luxurious. Alan looked at the green pool in front of him, reached out to untie his belt, and a column of water sprang out of the pool, spreading dense foam spray on the surface of the pool. If Lei Xiao Aogu had witnessed this scene, he would have destroyed the pool on the spot and permanently abandoned the training base. This is the core secret of the Assassin's Alliance, the Pool of Lazarus. Can be used for 3 major effects. Treatment, longevity, and resurrection. There is more than one pool in the world with similar functions, most of which are controlled by the Assassin Alliance. In fact, there is a special liquid metal in the pool, known as the wine god factor. Moreover, the Lazarus pool controlled by the Assassin Alliance currently contains impure Bacchus factors, which can lead to loss of consciousness if used multiple times. After a long period of research, Lei Xiao Aogu finally found a solution. By using the irretrievable holy artifact, the Redemption Blade, to kill oneself and resurrect through the Dionysian factor, not only can one restore their original state, but they can also return to youth. Therefore, the Assassin Master has lived for hundreds of years. Putting away the tools of the crime, Alan felt refreshed and refreshed. Squeak. At this moment, someone came in. Wearing the attire of a standard warrior, only a pair of eyes were visible, and one's face could not be seen at all. His whole body exuded a thief-like aura. Someone, enter the room and take a look around to ensure safety before taking out the metal container and filling the liquid from the pool. Someone stole urine. Alan admired him and said, I feel like he's more mentally ill than me. When the warrior was loading water, Alan raised his hands to engage in a series of psychological activities. Xiaozhua, guess he stole it to drink. If not, reward me once. Xiao Yu, you bet he used an external compress. If you guess wrong, reward me twice. You're so mischievous. I guess he's used for rinsing his mouth. If he didn't guess correctly, we'll reward each of you once. Zorn filled 3 test tube wine god factors and carefully hid them close to his body. As a level 5 agent of the Divine Shield Bureau, his true identity is that of a Hydra spy. Through a series of channels, he finally infiltrated the Assassin's League, and after several years of lurking, he was finally deployed to the Snow Mountain base as a training instructor. The recent unlocking of information related to the Dionysus factor can be traced back to World War II, when a mad scientist named Alan was one of the main ingredients for producing serum drugs. Compared to the Winter Soldier serum of the same period, due to the lack of the God of Wine factor, which has a neutralizing and stabilizing effect, the comprehensive strength of the Winter Soldier is inferior to that of the American Team Steve. Therefore, the Hydra decided to restart serum engineering. Zorn remained calm as usual, and due to his position as an instructor with fewer restrictions on activities, he walked out of the base with just a casual remark, completely unaware, followed by an invisible tail. Always observe the surrounding situation, confirm that there are no abnormalities, and then go to the location where the telegraph machine is hidden. Dee-dee, drop, 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 drop a series of codes transmit information outward through radio waves. Zorn couldn't help but exclaim excitedly, based on the organization's credit, I may have become one of the first super warriors. I heard that serum potions can prolong life, which is really exciting. Don't worry, the organization won't let anyone down, even a piece of toilet paper has its purpose. Who? Suddenly turning his head, Zorn was shocked to find that Ellen's head was less than 5 centimeters away from him, leaning against his left shoulder. A pair of wise eyes were curiously studying the telegraph machine. When did he approach? How could I not have noticed? Immediately, take a tactical leap back and widen the distance. Zuoen's hand has reached towards the sword, and his identity must not be exposed. Otherwise, it will inevitably attract the pursuit of the Assassin Alliance, and even according to the Ninja Master's emphasis on the Bacchus factor, he will inevitably launch a crazy revenge against the Hydra. Just as his thumb was pressing against the edge of his sword, he was preparing to launch a surprise attack with sword-drawing techniques, striving for a quick kill. Pop Allen stood at attention solemnly, raising his right hand 45 degrees high. Nine-headed snake, long live. Omega asterisk, Zorn. Dot. Piers. How come I don't know? Suddenly, there was a strange change, and Zorn's mind couldn't turn around. Cut off one head and grow 2 more to replace it, Allen said solemnly. The organization can't wait any longer. I'm worried that your action will fail, so I'll take care of it at any time. Dot. It makes a lot of sense, but Zorn has no words to refute it. He is very clear about the behavior style of the Hydra. Once he discovers the first Hydra spy, it is equivalent to having a second and third, which basically permeates through countless holes. Moreover, they do not know each other and cannot be completely cleared. Allen maintained a serious expression from beginning to end, and Zorn was completely convinced. After the war ended, the Hydra infiltrated the Divine Shield Bureau and disappeared without a trace. Special agents from the Divine Shield Bureau provided cover for missions outside. Imagine pretending to be mentally ill and infiltrating the Assassin's League, it's really a clever move. Remember, we haven't socialized and don't know about Hydra. I have other tasks to do, so there's no need to teach you how to do them, right? End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Spy comes out of us. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. Spy comes out of us. Bruce Wayne. Oliver Quinn. Lei Xiaogu looked at the comprehensive evaluation report of the 2 people on the table and was very satisfied with discovering 2 excellent seedlings. If given time, they will surely become capable generals under my command. Of course, the value of both is far from being as simple as it appears. Bruce is the successor of Wayne Group with a market value of billions, and his family business is spread throughout Gotham City. Oliver is no different, but one of the heirs of the Quinn Group with billions of assets, belonging to a behemoth entrenched in Star City. Although Oliver is not the only heir, Lei Xiaogu is confident that by intervening, he can gain control of the Quinn Group. Relying on the funds of the 2 major groups, the grand plan of the Assassin Alliance will be very smooth. In fact, according to the development of the plot, their daughters made Bruce and Oliver have a big belly. Hissing sound. A sudden whistle interrupted Lei Xiao's imagination. Looking around, Allen was next to the window. What's up? Suddenly, the joyful mood disappeared, and Lei Xiaogu's face couldn't help but darken. Thinking to herself that she hasn't been cured of her mental illness yet, how did Nisha handle things? Boss, I've discovered a secret. Allen crawled in through the window with both hands and feet. Lei Xiaogu took a deep breath and suppressed his emotions on the edge of the explosion, reminding him, you can leave the door. The window is a few steps away from the door, and only when you are seriously ill can you open the window. Our industry has never taken an ordinary path, said AI Ethical. Lei Xiaogu was very sensible and didn't dwell on the issue anymore. He argued with a mentally ill person, and now he appears mentally ill. What secret? Boss, we have spies among us. Alan had a quiet and serious expression. Did a spy come out of it? Lei Xiaogu's eyes lit up, and his face showed a gloomy expression. He calmly looked at Alan, waiting for him to recount the details. Middle out, spy. Hearing these 4 words from someone else's mouth suddenly triggered Alan's surprise brain circuit switch. Alan couldn't help but see a Nike smile on his face and said meaningfully, I didn't expect that the boss also likes to watch neon specialty products. He's from a spy plot, so he's from the same path. Listen to it yourself, what are you talking about? Lei Xiaogu's hands, hidden in his sleeves, clenched into fists, feeling a bit suspicious of living too long and becoming old and confused. To be honest, among the older generation, I recommend Teacher Tanaka and Teacher Okuta, while among the new generation, I recommend Teacher Shintian and Teacher Nagi. It's a pity that none of them have released the ban lifting series. When it comes to this topic, Alan is like an old driver who doesn't step on the brakes. You go out, I have something to do. Ah. Lei Xiaogu's gloomy expression is like water, without a doubt, he is really going to hurt the killer. Alan honestly flipped through the window again, never leaving the door. Holding his head in his hand, Lei Xiaogu couldn't bear to look straight at him. He decided to go out and bring back 2 good seedlings, and also relax to ease his emotions. Facing the madman a few more times, he was worried that his anger would trigger the side effects of the alcohol god factor. Teacher Budwa is also good, but he's getting older. Get lost. Alan turned back and gave a mouthful, and Lei Xiaogu suddenly roared in anger. That night, Master Ninja left the Snow Mountain base. Staying in the room, Alan was applying ointment to his face and suddenly slapped his thigh, saying, I forgot to tell the boss about a Hydra spy. To be honest, everyone is a man, pretending to be serious is like no one has watched a little movie. However, when Alan woke up the next day, he forgot about it. Character. Alan, 1/10, Occupation. LV30 Thief, Skills, LV5 Weapon Mastery. Hit +5, Strength +5 LV1 Shadow Blade. As level increases, speed and damage increase by 10%. Shadow Stealth. Actively enter stealth mode, and once in combat or under attack, automatically detach from stealth. Shadow Will. In an invisible state, launching a surprise attack causes double damage. Flying Rope Claw. Equipped with a secondary weapon called Rope Claw, it can be used for climbing and jumping at a height of 20 meters, time. 1981 Assassin's League. Requirement. If the current profession reaches LV120, it can return to the original timeline. In the days without the presence of Assassin Master, the Snow Mountain base would soar in less than 10 days. As Alan accumulated experience through battles, his class level climbed straight to level 30. Nisha and Talia may not necessarily win together. An unrestrained mental illness can be described as terrifying in its actions. The warriors who eat in the canteen spit foam when they eat. Alan proudly admitted that he had carefully prepared Chinese cuisine for everyone and added Chinese toothpaste thoughtfully. Or you can sprinkle chili powder on someone else's underwear to exercise your vigilance. Bang! Alan, I'm going to kill you. A warrior was flying all over the base, holding a sharp battle blade in search of Alan's figure. I know you're angry, but calm down for now. Nisha shouted to comfort from a distance, it was so foul-smelling that she couldn't get close. Numerous warriors cast sympathetic glances, feeling grateful that it was not themselves who were unlucky. The madman is designing a firecracker trap in the dry toilet, looking like he's causing people to be covered in feces. You made me calm down, it's not you who collapsed. You spoke lightly, today must be with me but without him, with him but without me. Listening to her subordinate's collapsed roar, Nisha didn't know what to do. To be honest, I really regret picking up the person back then. Pick up an ancestor. What happened, so lively? Alan walked around the corner, his mouth full of bananas, his cheeks bulging, and he kept stuffing it as if someone was trying to snatch it away. I'm going to kill you. The enemy appeared, and the warrior wanted to come forward and fight fiercely. Calm down first, don't come over. Everyone took out their weapons and looked at them with frightened eyes. They are not protecting Alan, they just don't want to get involved with Ollie. Alan continued to eat bananas without any concern, swallowing a full and hard bite, causing his throat to bulge in a circle. Gudu. Swallowed smoothly into the stomach, his face turned pale with choking. Why didn't you choke on the spot? Many people have the same idea in their hearts. By the way, I remember there were 2 firecracker traps. Bang. Ah. Ellen, die for me. Just as the words fell, another lucky person triggered a trap. The sound of hurried footsteps approached, and Talia walked over in Ollie's clothes. Her eyes scanned and she locked onto Alan, ordering, everyone obey orders and take down Alan. Yes. They had been eagerly anticipating this command for a long time. Finally, an influential figure is waiting to issue an order. A pair of tiger-eyed eyes, eager to devour Alan alive. Hidden weapon. The banana peel was thrown at the front warrior's feet, and Alan quickly turned around and ran away, laughing like a silver bell in his mouth, he 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 he. Come and catch me. Kill him. Stab him to death. Drowning him in the pit. In the medical room. Chelsea was grinding medicinal herbs and listening to the commotion outside, couldn't help but exclaim, it's been years since it was so lively, Alan is such an interesting little guy. In the usual base, everyone was lifeless and followed strict rules of self-discipline. Recently, it has become extremely lively and joyful. Bang! While Chelsea was reminiscing about the past, a person flew in from the window and heavily overturned the freshly processed medicinal herbs. Watching the day's hard work go to waste, Chelsea felt angry from the bottom of his heart. He raised his pestle and gritted his teeth, saying, mental illness is mental illness. Guiding the mind is useless, and physical methods must be used for treatment. The elderly traditional Chinese medicine practitioner, who is over 70 years old, resolutely joined the pursuit army. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Batman, Green Arrow. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6 Batman, Green Arrow, I am applying for transfer from the Snow Mountain base. Life can't pass anymore, inexplicable things always mix in the food. Alan is at the base all day, and I don't want to stay for a whole day. The 2 leaders must come up with a solution, otherwise everyone would rather deviate from the organization. Talia and Nisha were surrounded by a group of members of the Assassin's League, expressing their dissatisfaction with Alan through verbal communication. The spirit young man is really capable of causing trouble. Be careful when eating a meal, be wary when using the restroom, and if it weren't for being unable to beat him, you would have rushed forward and given him a meal that was completely unrecognizable. When the sisters saw that the situation could not be controlled, Talia quickly reassured them. Everyone be quiet, and we will give an explanation. If we don't solve it, it's uncertain when Master Ninja will return. When they return, they all run away. Once they are held accountable, they may lose their eligibility to inherit the Assassin's League. Relatively speaking, getting rid of Alan is a trivial matter, with at most a few symbolic scoldings. The sisters of the original competitor rarely reached a temporary cooperation with tacit understanding. At night. Turn off the lights and rest inside the base. In the darkness, 2 figures secretly approached Alan's room. I smoothly pushed the door open and tiptoed to the bed. The moonlight projected from outside the window reflects the silhouette of a person on the bed. Take action. Miso the sword blade is unsheathed, and under the moonlight, it reflects sword light. The sharp sword light slashed out the silver-white Pai Lian, tearing through the bulging quilt and instantly flying goose down. The base is located in a snowy mountain area, with temperatures below 0 year. Round. It must be equipped with down blankets, otherwise it is possible to fall asleep or freeze to death. Sword after sword, as if venting the recent frustration. Unable to eat well, sleep well, and go to the bathroom, I feel anxious and can't live these days anymore. With constant slashing, the sisters could not help smiling happily and cruelly. That kind of revenge, a satisfying mood, is so satisfying that even my breasts are open. However, as I was chopping, I realized something was wrong. How can there be an extra person chopping together? It's not that they were supposed to carry out the assassination, is there anyone else involved? For a moment, stop moving and gaze at the extra people. With the moonlight, one can clearly see its profile. Hiss, it's Alan. Why did it stop? Alan asked inexplicably, what are you playing with? Can you take me with you? Are you sick? Let's assassinate you and bring you along. So who should we assassinate? Nisha tugged at the corner of her mouth and said, shouldn't you be sleeping in bed? Who said sleeping should be in bed? Yes, there is no rule to sleep in bed. Combined with Alan's abnormal appearance, he can really do something that goes against common sense. Ah, Alan suddenly said, you two bad women are here to kill me. At the next moment, two sharp swords were already draped around their necks. It's too fast. Too fast to react in time. Nisa panicked and explained, calm down, we're just having fun. Alan, we're really looking for you to play. Talia quickly agreed. The sneak attack did not result in tragic retaliation, and it was claimed that they deserved it. Even the ninja master did not seek revenge for them, but felt very embarrassed. Although there is a pool of Lazarus that can be resurrected, the problem is that the redemption blade is lost, and thus resurrection is likely to become a bloodthirsty and violent monster, which is not the result they hope to see. Moreover, if the time of death exceeds 24 hours, it is already powerless to turn the tide. After all, there are limitations to everything. Take off your clothes, jia jia jia. Did the fool get an idea? Is it true that one's intentions are not right, and one's intentions are based on their appearance? Not long. Talia and Nisa walked out of the room wrapped in sheets, with a hint of disappointment on their faces. A madman is ultimately a madman, and cannot be understood with ordinary thinking. In the room, Alan was wearing a women's warrior uniform, twisting and singing Yanko joyfully. Bang 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 bang. What bad thoughts can Alan have? He is just silent in his own spiritual world. A helicopter hovered over a snowy mountain, and 3 figures leaped down. The members of the base were filled with tears as they waited for the return of the ninja master. This month has been living like a year. Lei Xiao Aogu brought back the future Batman and Green Arrow, and immediately welcomed all members warmly. Father, you have counted it back. Welcome back, Father. Nisha and Talia led the crowd to welcome them, with eager expressions on their faces as if there was something important waiting to be told. It's just that the content is about Ellen, and I'm worried that he might hear it in public. Boss, you're back. Alan shook his flying rope claws in mid-air and swept over. This scene made Lei Xiao Aogu frown uncontrollably. Why is this guy still here? He has learned a set of skills for rope climbing. Bruce and Oliver now have the angular contours that a young man should have, and have not yet grown into a quirky middle-aged greasy man. They were curious at the same time when they saw Alan's strange appearance. In the Assassin's League, members respectfully refer to Master Ninja as their leader, and a person shouting boss appears particularly abrupt. Lei Xiao Aogu subconsciously ignored Alan and didn't want to ruin his current mood. Alan, what will we have for dinner tonight? Nisha had a sudden idea and used this as an excuse to take away Alan, in order to report on the recent situation. Don't panic, I have watched the entire collection of Chinese Little Masters. Even a pile of feces can be made into curry. Just sit back and enjoy the delicious Ganges cuisine. As soon as the words fell, Alan swung his flying rope towards the base. Waiting for confirmation that Alan has gone far, Nisha recounted all the recent bitterness and pain. The more Lei Xiao Aogu listened, the more his forehead became bulging with veins, and his heart became more and more certain that this son could not be left behind. He continued to let it go, and the entire Snow Mountain base was likely to be shattered. The four-party talks are approaching, so let Alan represent the Assassin's Alliance and go to Silent Ridge to retrieve the Redemption Blade. Thoroughly thoughtful Lei Xiao Ogu came up with a plan. Everyone present suddenly realized the intention of Master Ninja. According to Alan's personality, he must have offended the three forces to death. At that time, the Assassin's Alliance will unilaterally clear its relationship and use the hands of the three forces to solve Alan. It has to be said that he is a cunning ninja master. On the surface, the four forces are in a cooperative relationship, but in reality, they see each other as opponents and will eventually move towards opposition. They do not attach much importance to their interests. As for the Redemption Blade, Lei Xiao Aogu doesn't mind personally visiting afterwards. Who would like to go with Alan? Upon hearing Lei Xiao Aogu's inquiry, everyone took a step back without hesitation. They wished they could be as far away as possible from Alan. How could they take risks together? In case the other three forces were angry and accidentally silenced their companions. Bruce and Oliver looked around in confusion, creating a vacuum and isolating them, feeling a great sense of unease in their hearts. Lei Xiao Aogu did not give them a chance to refute. He placed his hand on one person's shoulder and said with righteousness, I am very pleased that you are willing to go. I hope you can leave unscathed and the organization will not forget your contributions. Bruce. Oliver. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Me, Aban, and Green Arrow. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. Me, Aban, and Green Arrow. Alan, this mission is very important, and this is the funding given to you by the organization. Lei Xiao Aogu took out a stack of dollars from his pocket, took out 3 and placed them on the table. Then he pointed out 2 more and said, the extra 200 is my personal sponsorship. I hope you don't mistreat yourself. Don't worry, boss. I once hacked from Penglai East Road all the way to Nanchaman, and my eyes never became dry. Alan made a firm promise and repeatedly counted $500 bills in his hand. Lei Xiao Aogu nodded in satisfaction, thinking to himself that as long as he maintained his form, there was no worry that the other three forces would not pursue him. The matter was explained clearly, and the 3 people were immediately instructed to board a helicopter and leave, taking the latest flight to America. As soon as the disaster star left, the base couldn't wait to hold a celebration banquet. Everyone was enjoying normal cuisine with relish. Puff poo 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 poo, what's going on? Lei Xiao Aogu felt a cramp in his abdomen and realized that there must be something wrong with his food. Alan has already set off, and the dishes were made by the chef himself. How could there be a problem? Chelsea was the first to enter the kitchen, inspecting numerous seasonings and herbs that accompany them year-round. With just a sniff, the key lies. Quickly lock a bag of yellow-brown powder seasoning. This is croton flour. He even dug out a piece of paper in the bag. The mechanism in the restroom hasn't been triggered recently, so everyone must be constipated. It really breaks my heart, Alan. Don't use the restroom, everyone. Unfortunately, it's too late. On this day, the base howled incessantly, mixed with the fragrance of the whole house. At this moment, on a long-distance passenger plane. 3 seats side by side, Alan sat in the middle, his wise eyes twirling. Ah bah, Green Arrow, nice to meet you all. Alan crossed his hands and gestured to shake hands with the two of them. The illness is not mild. You can't reach out normally, why shake hands with your left hand to the right and your right hand to the left? Isn't it troublesome? Bruce Wayne. Oliver Quinn. In terms of addressing, the two were too lazy to argue, and it was evident that Alan's bones were surprised, not just casual. He showed too much enthusiasm and may not be peaceful during the journey. Out of goodwill, Bruce spoke up and said, Alan, wait until Amelia and leave. Master Ninja wants to take the opportunity to get rid of you. Bruce joined the Assassin's League to learn skills, not to believe in so-called justice. Only by joining darkness and transforming into darkness can we defeat it. Similarly, Oliver did not want to see Alan innocently murdered. From the information gathered at the base, it appears that Alan was just a prank and did not do anything that would endanger the lives of others. Moreover, the brain is abnormal and should be understood. In fact, Bruce and Oliver know each other. Wayne Group and Quinn Group are both top-notch entities in the upper-class society, with even business dealings and easy access to each other's information. With similar family backgrounds and training together in the Assassin's League, the two are willing to entrust each other behind their backs in the future. How could the boss possibly stab me in the back? I should have abandoned the dark and betrayed him. Alan said with a sudden expression, Ah bah, are you jealous of the boss's trust in me and want to take the opportunity to rise to power? You're such a green tea. Green arrow, do you think it's sauce purple? Alan turned his head to look at Oliver. Oliver silently closed his eyes. Good words are difficult to persuade the dead. Bruce felt tired and let it go on its own. Not long after, the flight attendant pushing the dining car walked over and asked with a professional smile, What kind of tea do you need, sir? Alan said, Have a glass of cola, with ice. No cola, thank you. Pennsylvania. Philadelphia. Get off the plane and take a taxi directly to the meeting location. Chinji Sichuan Restaurant. As soon as they got off the car, the three of them looked at the somewhat outdated storefront and fell into a skeptical silence. Whether it is wrong, it is not as high as Hongxing's negotiation with Dongxing. Alan could not help complaining about. Hey, Beachy. At this moment, the taxi driver impatiently shouted. The driver's hand has reached into the drawer, wanting to ride in the king's car. He doesn't mind giving them a few equal peanuts. No need to look. Alan casually took out a banknote. The black driver was taken aback at the sight and quickly took it, stepping on the gas and rushing away. How much did you pay? Bruce reminded me. Alan took out the remaining money, which was already only $400, and replied, I've given $100. The fare is $20.3, Oliver added. Suddenly, Alan's brain, which was not good at calculation, went crazy and came to a conclusion that he had given too much. Immediately, put down your suitcase and chase towards the direction of the taxi. Come back, give me money. However, after a while, Alan returned in frustration, apparently unable to recover the money. How's it going? Bruce asked intentionally. They suddenly understood the members of the Snow Mountain base. It was so noisy all the way, sometimes they really wanted to strangle him. But seeing Alan feeling exhausted, I couldn't help but feel very happy in my heart. Chasing is catching up. Alan said with a gloomy expression, I found out I was chasing the wrong car. Entering the Sichuan restaurant, the three of them sat down and waited for the waiter to come up and answer the code. After all, the restaurant is a cover-up, and this place is a liaison stronghold of the four forces. Alan took out a pair of sunglasses and put them on, whispering, Wait a moment, look at my eyes and act. Look at you, Meteor Hammer. Can it be normal? Sir, what do you need? The waiter walked over holding the menu. This is a contact point operated by the Hand Union, from the kitchen to the front hall, they are all assassins. From the moment the three of them entered the door, it was evident that they were not ordinary people. The steady pace, even breath, and unique essence of a warrior cannot be hidden in front of their peers. Of course, Alan belongs to the undecided category, with abnormal appearances both inside and outside. Perhaps due to being possessed by a demon. The earth shakes the high hills, and the streams and mountains are beautiful throughout history. Alan uttered a secret message and looked eagerly at the waiter to respond. "Sir, what would you like to order?" "The waiters are all confused, please confirm again." Alan grabbed his scalp and said in distress, "The secret code is correct. You shouldn't face the door and face the sea. The Sanha River flows for thousands of years. The secret code doesn't match, and the waiter is preparing to recommend dishes according to the normal customer. Shadow at dawn." At this moment, Bruce spoke the correct code. When he traveled to the east, he read a martial arts novel in which the secret code for the connection between heaven and earth was exactly the same as what Alan told. "3 gentlemen, please go up to the private room on the 2nd floor. Shadow Dawn is the secret code exclusive to the Assassin's Alliance. Among the 4 forces, the Assassin Alliance ranks first, which naturally makes the servers attach great importance." However, the 3 representatives were clearly led by Alan, and their behavior and words were somewhat different from those of ordinary people. It's hard to understand what Master Ninja meant. As the waiter walked into a secret conference room with 3 people, he took his leave and informed the other 3 representatives to come and participate in this meeting. At the same time, Bruce and Oliver mustered up their spirits and were able to collaborate with the Assassin's Alliance, which was by no means an ordinary person. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Azhen, I am your fan. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8 Azhen, I am your fan. Black Hand Gang, Walloon. Bigfoot Gang, Schlater. Hand-in-hand meeting, Mrs. Gao. Including the representative of the Assassin's Alliance, Alan, a new round of 4-party talks will be formed. Except for the Mafia, the other 3 can be said to be global killer organizations. If it weren't for the fear of the Mafia's Holy Lord and the controlled Shadow Corps, they wouldn't have been able to enter the Alliance horizontally and vertically. Lei Xiaogu has retired and sent you to discuss major matters. Shredder's words were full of disdain, and he didn't take the newly emerged unknown people seriously. Even if the ninja master came to visit, it wouldn't necessarily save face. "What species are you?" As soon as he was met with contempt, and Alan didn't hesitate to start the king of mouth mode. This sentence made Schlater's heart skip a beat. One's own secret is absolutely confidential, and once leaked, it will inevitably invite the whole world to be enemies. After all, it's not up to alien species to intervene in internal affairs on Earth. Alan's little mouth wouldn't give up easily and muttered to himself towards the ceiling, "What's in the sewer? There are 4 turtles and a mouse in the sewer, they can't be killed, they can't be killed, they can't be killed, they can't be killed." The Ninja Turtles are the archenemy of the Bigfoot Gang, and Shredder repeatedly succumbs to them. Today, someone lifted a scar on the spot and was so angry that their wrist instinctively popped out. "You have gone too far, apologize immediately to Your Excellency Schlater." Madame Gao, the leader of the Hand Cooperation Association, spoke up to help. Originally, the 3 families had secretly decided to suppress the rapidly developing Assassin Alliance, but now they are taking advantage of the situation. "I am a blind person, why do you want to make things difficult for me?" Alan said leisurely. Madame Gao clearly recognized the night demon hero referred to in her words. That damn blind man repeatedly competed with the Hand Club, causing his dignity to be repeatedly provoked. As a result, over the years, the family has lived a very fulfilling life, with their girlfriend changing one after another and dying one after another. "Are you looking for death?" Madame Gao's eyes froze as she tapped her cane on the ground, signaling the assassin in the shadows. With just one more tap, the assassin would be in pain. "Oh," Alan raised his voice, rolled up his sleeves, and said with a righteous tone, "Blind people bully me, but if you want to bully me, I'm a fool. I'm a dead old lady. Today, I will uphold justice for the disabled. Everyone calm down and give me face. Walloon anxiously stepped forward to smooth the situation. You all have unique skills, and you are just ordinary people. If you really want to fight, you will lose a lot if you lack a single component. Okay. Alan put down his sleeve and said calmly, for the sake of your clear eyebrows and beautiful eyes, I'll give you a face and say hello to your calendar boss and his whole family. Walloon. Calendar boss. Nature refers to the Holy Lord. Say hello to his whole family. Are you sure you're not cursing? In fact, Walloon really misunderstood Alan. It's different from the usual way of thinking. How could he possibly say normal things? Your Excellency, are you humiliating the Lord? Walloon angrily asked. No, there isn't. Alan had an innocent expression on his face as he scanned the representatives of the three parties and said, You don't welcome me, so I'll go. After speaking, he stood up and called Bruce and Oliver to walk towards the exit. When approaching the exit, Alan stopped his steps and turned to ask, I really left? However, Schlater, Mrs. Gao, and Walloon watched him, and from their gloomy expressions, it was evident that they had not intended to retain him. Waiting for the three of them to leave the conference room and sit down again to discuss various matters. Just say one word and I won't leave. Without waiting to speak, Ellen turned back, giving you another chance, as if you were really leaving if he didn't keep you. With 3 pairs of staring eyes, Alan curled his lips and couldn't help but say, You're so grown up. If you just say a few words, you'll be stinging. I'm sure your childhood was incomplete, which led to a lack of mental health. I want to kill him. Shredder became furious and wanted to take action to kill the damn madman. Hi, no, I poked the pain point and got angry and embarrassed, giggling. Before Alan escaped, he didn't forget to say hi. If it weren't for Lady Gao's cane blocking her horizontally, Schlater would have chased after her. It's important to discuss major matters. If the members of the Assassin's Alliance are not present, isn't it just a matter of hitting the nail on the head? Mrs. Gao said calmly. Can the revenge of humiliation be easily lifted? Schlater said in a deep voice. There's no need to personally take action, he can only live for 7 days at most. The meeting fell through. Alan and the others are looking for a motel to stay at. Oliver went out to inquire about the location of the Redemption Blade and was waiting for the Assassin's Alliance to deliver equipment. It is prohibited to carry control equipment while flying, with swords and bows and arrows placed in the luggage. It is estimated that they should be locked up in the station by now. Dudu, who is it? The knocking on the door rang, and Alan got up from the bed to open the door. Someone has brought you something. The front desk delivered a rectangular package wrapped in newspapers. Alan was a bit puzzled, so he took it and closed the door, muttering, I don't have online shopping, how could there be a delivery? Tearing open the outer packaging, a box of old-fashioned videotapes appears in front of us. Retro-nostalgic versions of precious images of human reproduction. Alan squinted his eyes in excitement. The door to taboos is so irresistible. Insert the tape into the TV and press the switch. Alan placed his legs together and hands on his knees, maintaining an upright and critical posture, with a critical expression in his eyes. On the screen, gray snowflakes appeared, but the screen did not immediately play. Poor contact. Alan walked up to the TV and patted the outer shell with his hand. Coincidentally, a black and white screen was played. A woman is combing her long hair in front of the mirror, shooting from an angle as if starting from a peeper. Modern retro island films seem to have a storyline. Alan became more and more excited, getting closer to watch, afraid of missing any details. In just a few minutes, there was another snowflake, and the scene transformed into a group of people twisting and crawling on the lawn. Their appearance was very strange, as if they were suffering great pain, as if there was a way to save them. Driven by a strong desire for survival, they made everyone crawl and move bit by bit. Many people, outdoors, so exciting. I didn't wait to see the scene that Ellen was looking forward to, but now I have snowflakes. In the following scene, a person wearing a hood stands by the river, pointing in one direction and remaining silent. Chet, who is so bored making abstract movies. Alan had another problem with his mind and guessed that it was not his favorite educational film, so he immediately turned off the TV and went to sleep. As a result, a button was pressed and the screen was still playing. The TV is broken, the boss won't blackmail me with money, will he? Alan, the spiritual young man who grew up under the red flag, does not believe in ghosts in the world, only believes in science. Use your ultimate move. Pull out the plug. The screen continues to play unexpectedly. A well sits in the silent mountains and forests. As each frame stuttered, an extra pale palm appeared at the wellhead. Alan looked at the plug in his hand and then at the image on the screen. A woman with disheveled hair and an indistinct face crawled out of the well, slowly standing straight with a hunched body, and then walked slowly, as if about to step out of the TV and descend into reality. The woman got closer and closer, until white clothes filled the entire screen. The image ends here. Ding-ling-ling. Suddenly, the landline on the bedside table rang. Alan answered the phone. Junzi, is that you? Azhen, I am your fan. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. I have a date with Azhen. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. I have a date with Azhen. You will die on the 7th day. The gloomy and hoarse words came from the phone, giving a chill that seeped into the bone marrow. Alan's face appeared particularly excited, confirming that it was indeed a desperate call from Sadako, as if his long-awaited lover had made an ambiguous call. Really? Alan asked with anticipation, Azhen, can you call and chat with me every day for the next few days? Cannot. If you don't call me, I will swallow feces and commit suicide in advance, so that you won't get me. Believe it or not, I believe it anyway, Alan threatened angrily. Good-faced with Alan's special threat, Sadako had no choice but to compromise. To be honest, this is the first time she has met such a strange person. A normal person who usually receives a phone call with a ringtone is so scared that they hang up the phone at the first moment, instead of talking excitedly like Alan. So it's settled, Azhen, please make sure to let me die at your hands. Alan's words exuded a sour smell reminiscent of love. For a moment, Sadako felt a bit at a loss, and even a hint of emotion in her heart. Too understanding. If every cursed person could be as reasonable as Ellen, her ghostly career would be much smoother. Azhen, you don't know how much I like you. I've watched the Midnight Killing Bell at least 3 times, and even the extended version hasn't fallen behind. The custom of serving Midnight Chest Bell, the borrowing of money and falling in love with Midnight Chest Bell, I love the mother's sandwich you worked with Jia Yezi the most. I've been paying attention to your work in the 3D section and notebook. Alan couldn't help but recount his experience of playing with the attending doctor's computer at the Qingshan Rehabilitation Center. Do. Sadako hung up the phone decisively. Look, is this what a serious person sees? Putting down the phone, Alan clenched his fists in front of him. Xiaozhua, Xiao Yu, listen to my explanation. Just now, it was just a scene. I really didn't have any ideological infidelity, and besides, when watching those educational films, you all participated together. After an explanation, Alan released his fists in relief. The next day, Alan absent-mindedly stood by the landline phone, looking forward to Sadako's scheduled call. As a result, there was no warning bell from day until midnight. At this moment, Alan was so angry that he couldn't sleep soundly all night. On the 3rd day, night falls. The landline rang. Alan answered at the first ring, while the other end of the phone was silent. Azhen, why didn't you call me? I waited for you all day yesterday, and I didn't dare to sleep at night. I was worried that you might not receive your call, and I was afraid that I might misunderstand you. I was just teasing you, while you only care about calling others. As someone who keeps you in my heart and thinks of you all the time, I just put you aside. Alan roared and let out his emotions, waiting to calm them down. As soon as his tone changed, he became worried and said, I carry a dangerous mission with me, and I can't guarantee that I will live to wait for you. I hope it works and cherish it. I can't afford to. Will you call tomorrow? I will. It's a deal, good night. At night, Alan slept exceptionally soundly. The fourth day. Sadako's phone call arrived as scheduled. The bell rang, and Alan deliberately waited for a few seconds to pick it up. Guess who I am? On the phone, Sadako's tone was mischievous like that of a girl, as if she was playing coquettish with her boyfriend. Alan was slightly taken aback, his eyes became sharp, and he scolded, Azhen, you are a fierce ghost. How can you be emotional? Where is the professional ethics that should be? I indulged in a little bit of lust and fell for it. If it were someone else's sweet words, wouldn't you just let him go if you were soft-hearted? Your ghost life career still needs it. After a long silence, Sadako responded with a gloomy tone, I understand. You still have 3 days left. I hope you keep the way you should be, Alan said with satisfaction. Do. On the 5th day. Assassin's Alliance sent equipment, Oliver confirmed the target location, but Alan decided to wait for 2 days for the operation. At night, Sadako called. You still have 2 more days, do. On the 6th day. You still have 1 more day, do. On the 7th day, Sadako did not call. Today is the day she will take her life. Alan walked out of the bathroom and picked up a backpack, which contained his equipment. The mission to retrieve the redemption blade has officially begun. When Alan walked out of the hotel room, the TV that was supposed to be placed on the cabinet disappeared. As soon as they went downstairs, Bruce and Oliver had been waiting for a long time. Before leaving, Alan deliberately renewed his lease for an extra day to avoid Sadako accidentally killing uninformed tenants. Raccoon City, Silent Ridge at the 3-way intersection, there stands a rusty signboard. A yellow taxi was speeding straight towards Silent Hill. In the car, there were 3 people sitting with Alan. The driver played heavy metal rock music on their own, but the 3 remained unmoved and remained silent throughout the journey. The taxi drove into a long and dilapidated road, and in less than a quarter of an hour, it reached the front of an old town. The 3 of them got off the car and looked at the silent ridge illuminated by the dusk sun. Under the yellow sunlight, the town added a layer of desolation. Pay, bastard! The taxi driver let out an irritable roar. Alan casually took out a banknote and said, pretending to be cool, you don't need to change. The driver took the money, skillfully deflected and turned around, stepping on the accelerator and heading back and forth. How much did you pay? Bruce's malicious reminder. Alan took out the money from his pocket and suddenly found another 100 yuan bill. Oliver took the opportunity to repair the knife and said, the fare is $30.1. Immediately, Ellen wanted to chase after him again. Seeing that the taxi was already out of sight, he gritted his change in frustration and said angrily, damn it, I won't take a taxi again. Who wants you to be so generous? It's none of their taxi business. An underground fire accident occurred in Silent Hill many years ago. Due to the inability to extinguish the fire and the toxic smoke, the entire town has been abandoned. Oliver revealed that the intelligence he collected was not a secret and could be found in the Philadelphia archives. However, the key information was intentionally deleted and he visited several elderly people who had moved out before to roughly understand what had happened. Bruce added, as shown in the mission, taking the redemption blade is an evil cult that has been hiding in Silent Hill, very low. Key and mysterious, with limited information available. I have a question, how did they take the blade of redemption? Looking at the conversation between the two, Alan felt like he didn't have a presence without saying a word or two. The blade of redemption was lent to a scholar for research, and the evil cult seized the opportunity to steal it. Bruce and Oliver exchanged a glance. Didn't this guy look at the intelligence content sent over? Before searching, review the key points of the information to avoid confusion in the event of a crisis. Nah, your eyes seem like I'm an NPC trying to make up for it. Alan proudly said, bah, I'm not trying to steal your attention. I've actually watched Silent Hill movies and know more than you. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. I check in at Silent Ridge. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. I check in at Silent Ridge. Don't leave, I haven't finished speaking yet. Alan was about to proudly reveal the secret of Silent Ridge, but Bruce and Oliver completely assumed that he had fallen ill again, walking and chatting towards the town on their own. I am proficient in 23 close combat techniques. Bruce raised his hand to signal the sword and the wrist blade armor on his wrist. Amazing. Oliver said humbly, I am good at archery, and the range of arrows is the limit of archery, not the limit of my archery skills. Even close combat is not weak. Dog raising, long admired and admired. Alan caught up and interjected, since everyone is honest with each other, I won't hide anything. I am a time traveler with a system template. We all believe that you are an alien. I'll be in front, and you'll be responsible for remote support, Bruce suggested. No problem. During the conversation between the two, there was no mention of Alan, and they only hoped that they wouldn't cause any trouble then. Batman and Green Arrow are both heroes with tragic story backgrounds, and their personalities are difficult to be optimistic and cheerful, so most people choose to ignore Alan. Walking in an empty and uninhabited town. Is there an error in the intelligence? Bruce couldn't help but feel puzzled. Looking at the buildings along the street, the broken glass and old walls, one can tell at a glance that they were caused by years of neglect. How can no one find the evil cult and retrieve the redemption blade? It seems like it was a wasted trip, Oliver agreed. Don't you really want to know the secret of Silent Hill? Alan deliberately quickened his pace and walked in front of them, with an expression of begging me to tell you. I don't want to know. Bruce firmly declined. He doesn't want a mental illness to have a rhythm. For the sake of your sincerity, I reluctantly told you. Alan cleared his throat with a cautious expression. In fact, if we don't say it out loud, Alan will be going crazy. Suddenly, a gray mist rose up quietly, and the sky slowly drifted down with snowflake-like ashes. The sudden change caused Bruce and Oliver to stop and observe the surroundings with alert eyes. Holy crap, can you wait for me to finish speaking before the world arrives? Alan hugged his chest in frustration and said, we were in the real world just now, and now we are in the outer world. When the inner world arrives, Silent Ridge will be filled with various demons and monsters. The buildings that originally appeared outdated have now become dilapidated. It is obvious that this place is not the original world. They couldn't help but take Alan's words seriously. Alan, can you explain it in detail? Oliver asked after him. Please me. Alan looked up at the sky at a proud 45-degree angle and muttered, you didn't pay attention to me just now, but now you can't stand it up. There's a monster. Bruce suddenly drew his sword and looked ahead with caution. At some point, a humanoid monster wrapped its arms in its skin and twisted towards them. Don't be afraid, it's a trap. Alan looked up and down at the monster, and Ko-Pu said, if someone is caught, they won't be favored by women during their lifetime. Over time, their psychology will become distorted and they will transform into monsters. Faced with women full of malice, black corrosive liquid will spray out of their chest holes. However, rest assured that they will never spray on men. Puff face slapping comes off guard. As soon as the words fell, the person in the trap sprayed black liquid to attack. The three of them quickly avoided and glanced at the black liquid on the ground, which was really corroding and emitting white gas. Siete, this guy is coveting my beauty, but his body has reacted. Alan dodged and approached the person in the trap, lifted his foot and kicked it out, constantly kicking and cursing, "I'll make you spray, I'll make you shoot, I'll make you react." The person in the pitiful trap was facing downwards and was about to turn over and fight back when he was kicked fiercely. Do we need to give a hand? Forget it, let him be happy. They even suspected that Alan was too excited, maybe even their own side wouldn't let it go. After venting his temper, he ended up killing the monster with just one sword. Kill the person in the trap, experience points plus 200, Alan didn't forget to warn the body, remember to save face for me in the next life. The monsters in Silent Ridge may not have high combat power, but the key lies in their large numbers. A set of people who can walk and move in the world, died under the handgun of a female police officer in the movie, and for Alan, the world is an experience dungeon. Alan, tell me about Silent Hill. Okay, bah. Alan pushed his glasses, which did not have a bridge of his nose, and said solemnly, Silent Ridge originated from the Great Wilderness period, a town built by coal mines. Can you be shorter? Bruce interrupted. According to Alan's urination, it is likely to tell half of Amelia's founding history. Being in an unfamiliar and dangerous environment, staying an extra second is adding to the crisis. Damn it, you're so impatient. Alan glanced and continued, there is a female fan of the fallen angel Samuel in Silent Ridge. She has been particularly infatuated since childhood and has been chasing stars to become a fan leader. She even worked part-time as a fan group leader before discovering that her sister gave birth to a child of her idol. At that time, I was extremely jealous. You scumbag, I call you brother every night. For decades, I have grown up from a young man to an old man, without even touching my finger. I think you are a pure-minded and serious person. As a result, I turned around and yelled at my sister, even giving birth to an evil seed. This breath is hard to swallow. Lao Bebe decided to kill his idol child and called on the master to tie the wicked seed to the grill and give it to Bobby to kowtow. I was originally planning to brush oil and sprinkle cumin, and then bake for about an hour to make it crispy on the outside and tender on the inside. Of course, if there were no accidents, there would definitely be accidents. A group of people broke in midway, disrupted the barbecue party, and snatched away the half-cooked little girl. The little girl, who was about to mature, was rescued and lay in bed feeling increasingly angry as she thought about it. The love-hate entanglement between you adults, bullying me like a little brat, and having the ability to barbecue my father's fallen angel Samuel. Then, you came. I thought to myself, I'm a half-god, making you a sour old baby kowtow to Bobby. I don't want face. I can't hold on to saving face if I don't seek revenge. The more you think, the more angry you become, the more jade you become, successfully connecting the Ren and Du meridians to awaken your divine power. Power envelopes the entire Silent Ridge, transforming it into an outer and inner world, locking in those who have bullied them. Perhaps the skill requires a cooldown time, causing the two worlds in the table to constantly switch. It was relatively safe in the outer world, but Samuel fans came out to search for supplies. Once the inner world arrived, they immediately fled back to the church. For many years, fan leaders have led their fans to try and end their nightmares by killing the little brat. It seems that I have never been able to succeed. Bruce and Oliver were both silent. I seem to understand, but I don't seem to fully understand. It can only be blamed that Alan's expressive ability is too abstract. In the guest room bathroom of a motel. An old-fashioned TV is placed facing down on the toilet. Suddenly, the screen lit up and a sizzling sound of electric current came out. Puff. At the next moment, it seemed like something had fallen out. It was Sadako who came to seek her life. She kicked her legs to break free from the constraints of the TV, propped her hands on the edge of the toilet, and slowly lifted her wet head. A large amount of yellow wax excrement is clearly visible above the head. Wearing a hair that covers his face, his emotions cannot be seen, but wisps of energy are like substantive anger, indicating that he is in an exposed state. Damn it, not flushing the toilet is the most annoying thing. End of this chapter.